Mr Speaker.
I call Mark Mitchell.
Mr Speaker, like my colleague Sarah Dowie, I'm really excited to take a call on the land transfer bill, and I'd like to refer to the previous speaker, and actually we co-captain the parliamentary rugby team together. He's a pretty tough West Coaster, and he is passionate about what he does. I would like to offer and make a representation to the chair of the committee, who I'm sure will be very pleased to see him come onto the committee. So I'd like to extend that invitation. I know that you'd like to be more involved in this bill. But, Mr Speaker, there is one thing that I do want to address, and it is a very serious matter, is that I think that probably the member for West Coast was very pleased to see a national government come into power. Because what we did is we stopped the flood of sale of our land to foreign investment. And it was a flood. Under the Honourable David Parker, there was more land sold. In fact, the biggest single transaction of New Zealand, the sale of New Zealand land, was made under the stewardship of the Labour Party and the Honourable David Parker. So I'm sure that the member was very pleased to see a national government come in where we made sure we tightened things up and we actually slowed that down, and we felt that that was really important to do that. We made sure that the LIO is a much more rigorous process to go through, and we've been very careful about the foreign investment that we do invite into New Zealand. It is important, but it's got to be the right sort of investment. This is a very important bill, and I just want to refer to some of the key messages in the bill, Mr Speaker, and that is that this government holds an important role dealing with land transfers and ensuring New Zealanders can have confidence in their property rights. And this is really important because actually most Kiwis do aspire to own their own home and have their own land. And it's actually very important they feel like their property rights are protected. Our current land title registration legislation is outdated, and this bill will modernise, simplify and consolidate it. You know, and I just want to make mention too that Sarah Dowie in her speech raised the fact that the Honourable David Cunliffe appeared to be on some type of conspiracy, running some type of conspiracy theory. I totally agree. I think it would not be unusual to see him sitting in Copperfield speaking to Agent Mulder and getting the new X-File open and up and running. That's right, and they're invisible too. The bill will make New Zealand land transfer legislation clearer, more workable and more consistent with modern ways of working while retaining the core principles of the current land registration system. This is very important. And noticing new measures to improve security of property rights. I just want to talk very quickly too, Mr Speaker, about the need for the change and what brought about the changes that we've made. The Land Transfer Act is over 60 years old, so it's an old piece of legislation, and we see many times in this House it's time to actually modernise this legislation and make it relevant to the world that we live in today. It contains provisions from earlier legislation dating back over 100 years, as my colleague Sarah Dowie also alluded to. Much of the language is archaic, complex and difficult to understand. The Act is focused on paper-based transactions, which is completely at odds with the modern reality and the modern world that we live in now, where electronic land titles and registration should be able to be done online. The Act is to be read alongside two standalone amendment acts. This creates a legislative framework that is difficult to navigate for property owners wanting to understand their rights and obligations. And I think that any property owner that has entered into a transaction would agree that things can become complicated very easily. And most people try to avoid costly legal bills when they're entering into a sale and purchase agreement or a land transfer, and so this bill actually will go some way towards helping reduce some of those compliance costs. As land is the principal source of wealth and wealth generation in New Zealand, the land transfer system is critical to the ongoing functioning of the economy, and confidence in the certainty of property rights in New Zealand underpins economic growth and attracts good overseas investment. Mr Speaker, this is a very good bill, and I'm very happy to recommend it to the House and look forward to receiving it on the committee. Thank you, Mr Speaker.